Okay, good evening guys. So this is the result of my upgrade from 8 gigabyte to 16 gigabytes of RAM. But first, I want to share to everybody the mistake that I did when I simply plugged the new RAM that I bought in my DIMM slot, and then I forgot that I had my settings overclocked. So basically, I bought the same brand, the same 1866 megahertz RAM as the one that I previously have. So the blue one is my original RAM, and then this one is the new one that I added. So they're both Kingston HyperX running at 1866 megahertz. But for some reason, I don't know why, the black one cannot run at 2400 megahertz. The blue one, I had it running at 2400 megahertz overclocked. So when I simply installed the RAM without adjusting the overclocked settings, this is the result that I got. So I'm running Windows 10 64-bit. So you see here, it's being detected as 16 gigabytes, but only 8 gigs is usable. So again, I don't know why was the reason for that. Why the new RAM that I bought cannot run at 2400 megahertz, despite the fact that they're basically identical with the older RAM that I have. Just the different colored spreader, heat spreader. So at CPU Z, it's being read as 16 gigabytes also, but only single channel. So again, this was the 2400 megahertz overclock settings at BIOS, and at Task Manager, it's being read at 16 gigabytes DDR3, but only 8 gigs is being used, and 8.1 gig is being dedicated as hardware reserve. So again, I don't know why that was, but if anybody can enlighten me why that's the case, why the new RAM I bought identical to the old one that I have cannot run at 2400 megahertz, please share and enlighten me. So now I adjusted the settings in BIOS to 1866 megahertz, and this is the result. So all 16 gigs is now usable, and no more errors in the RAM settings. And in Task Manager, it's again all 16 gigabytes is now being used, and still running at 1866 megahertz. And at CPU Z, again, it's running in dual channels now, and all 16 gigabytes is being used, but the DRAM frequency lowered to 930 megahertz, while the one that I had before when it was still overclocked was at 1072.1 megahertz. So again, I don't know why it cannot be overclocked, why it cannot run past 1866 megahertz. So if you have the answer, please enlighten me. Okay, so now with that aside, let's go to the gameplay of PlayerUnknown's Battleground. The main reason why I upgraded from 8 gigs to 16 gigabytes of RAM. So I already have recorded the videos. This one is running in 16 gigabytes RAM, and this one is running in 8 gigabytes RAM. Okay, so you can see here we're running at 18 to 20 FPS. My settings is low. Everything is low. And we're running at 20 FPS. My ping is playing around 10 to 20 ms, so ping's not bad. So again, the drop, we're running 50 FPS. So at 8 gigabytes RAM, you can feel the stutter. So there's more screen freezing. See there? The screen just freezes a lot. It so we're landing, and frame rates are bad. So again, I don't have a high-end rig. I'm just running an 810 7860K with GTX 1050 Ti. So bear with me. Okay, so now we're getting around 40 to 50 FPS. Again, my ping is not an issue. It's just the FPS is really bad. So sometimes we're registering 40, 50 FPS, but the screen freezes a lot. So again, this is 8 gigabytes uh, of RAM that we're gaming on. So for some reason, I don't know why, every time you press your inventory kit, when you show your inventory kit, the FPS drops significantly. So if you're out of the inventory window, it's running at 50, 40 FPS, but when you're in the inventory window, it drops to 30. So maybe it's just the game not yet optimized. So again, this one is 8 gigabytes RAM. You can see the frames really stuttering. Even if we're running 50 FPS, the screen freezes just every now and then. So this is what I was gaming on for the past 2 weeks since I installed Player Unknowns. So it's not bad. I already had a chicken dinner with this one, solo chicken dinner. So it's playable. Actually, it's playable, but it's just really hard to play with it. So again, this one is 8 gigabytes RAM. So you can see here, I'll show you the settings that I was playing on. Sorry, I was opening the CPU-Z. And there you go. Again, I'm running an AMD 87860K, overclocked to 4.5 megahertz. And then the memory that I was playing on was just 8 gigabytes DDR3 and single channel. My board is ECS A68M C4DL, the farthest board from a gaming setup. So basically, I'm just running an office type board. And then I have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti installed. Okay. So we're getting around 50 FPS in the field. That's 50 FPS, but the screen just really stutters and freezes a lot. So every time you turn your head or you turn your aim, it just really freezes a lot. So so again, if you open your inventory, the FPS just really drops significantly. And then I'll show you why it's really difficult to game on 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is the reason why. So I have an enemy here. I heard him. He didn't hear me yet. So I'm running at 40 FPS. Again, ping is not an issue here. See, with all the stuttering, it's just really very hard to hit somebody. Screen freezing, screen stuttering, so it's not that easy gaming on a low-end rig with PUBG. And then I tried to throw a grenade, but I botched it. And that, my friend, is why it's very difficult to play on 8 gigabytes RAM, because the screen just really freezes and it's very difficult to aim, especially if you have somebody in front of you. So that was at 42 FPS and 20 ms. So ping is not an issue. Okay, so now let's go to 16 gigabytes of RAM gameplay. So now we're dropping 40 FPS. So basically we're having the same FPS like the one that we had on 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it's just smoother. Smoother meaning there's not so much lag. It's still the same. I'm still playing at low settings. So the FPS is still more or less the same as 8 gigabytes of RAM, but again the significant improvement here is the screen freezing. So there's definitely less screen freezing on 16 gigabytes RAM. See? So if you tilt your head, tilt your view, the screen does not freeze as much as it did before. And before we're just getting around 40 to 50 FPS, but now we can get as much as 60 to 70 FPS. So again, if you open your inventory window, the FPS just drops significantly. So again, we're getting 60 FPS, 60 to sometimes 70 FPS. So the screen freezing is definitely less. This one is more playable than 8 gigabytes. So the upgrade, if you have a low-end rig like mine, is worth it, because uh, if you were used to playing on 8 gigabytes, you would definitely feel the improvement of 16 gigabytes. So there's less screen freezing, and you can definitely aim better now. Although my aim still needs improvement, but definitely better now. See? Easy kill. So again, we're getting 60, 70 FPS inside the house, but sometimes it drops to 30. But even if it drops to 30, the screen freezing is definitely lesser than 8 gigabytes. So the upgrade for me, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it if you don't have the budget to build a high-end rig. So hey, yeah, 16 gigabytes is the way to go. Okay, and then I'll show you some driving so that you can also have an idea. So again, in the open field, you get around 50, 60 FPS, but again, lesser screen freezing. Even with a vehicle, you still maintain around 40 FPS. So it's definitely better than 8 gigabytes. Okay, and inside the house again, more consistent 60 FPS compared to 8 gigabytes. And in the field, there's somebody shooting at us. So it dropped to around 30 FPS, but still very playable. And again, it's just the screen freezing is definitely lesser on 16 gigabytes. That's the biggest improvement. FPS is not so much, not so much improvement on the FPS, but definitely a very big improvement in screen freezing, and definitely improves your aim a lot. So yeah, it can definitely improve your aim a lot. So yeah, they were shooting at me right here, so I blew the tire of my buggy. So again, we're getting around 40 FPS. and then if you open your inventory screen, it just drops significantly. And then again, ping is not an issue here. So ping is just double digits running from 10, 20, 30 ms. So and then here somebody was shooting at me here, and then you can see me here sniping somebody. So again, this one is definitely improved aiming, lesser screen freezing. So all in all, it's a big improvement from 8 gigabytes of RAM. And this guy, I don't know what this guy had on, but I had to put 3 Kar 89 bullets in him just to kill him. So again, the aim was high. So if you're using a car, my advice to you is lower the aim, because if you aim high, you aim just enough, it will just go over. So definitely at this range you have to lower the aim. See, I couldn't even hit him. So it's not the 16 gigabytes, it's me. My aim sucks. So I definitely have to improve my aim. Definitely have to improve my aim. So I hit him once there, and then I hit him here. That's twice. He's still alive, and I have to hit him the third time to kill him. Okay, so basically that's it. Again, 16 gigabytes is worth it. And then I died in the end. I was in the top 5, so definitely better. And then this is me showing you that I was gaming on 16 gigabytes. So I was opening CPU-Z, and there you go, 16 gigabytes, dual channel, running at 1397.2 megahertz. So that's it, guys. In conclusion, uh, the upgrade from 8 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes is definitely worth it if you're playing PlayerUnknown's Battleground. So especially if you don't have a high-end rig, so it's very essential. So I suggest, even though it's already a dead path, there's no more upgrade after this one. So well, it's worth it. I'll still game on this CPU, on this setup for maybe about a year and a half more. So the upgrade cost was worth it. So now I can play PlayerUnknown's Battleground better than when I had 8 gigabytes RAM. So again, if you learned something new from this one, and if you liked the video, kindly press the like button, and you can subscribe so we can talk about more PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds in the future, and some more gaming on low-end gaming rigs. Okay, so see you next time.